All right, coming up on this episode of Sound Culture, we're going to be reviewing Arcade Fire's
The Suburbs
from 2010. It's a interesting album. It may be on par for their greatest. It's their third release, so a little bit interesting, but I think it's going to be an interesting review. So check this out. All right. We're back for another episode of Sound Culture, the show where we give you recommendations on albums you should be listening to. What do we got today, Don?
So we got The Suburbs, Arcade Fire, and right off the bat, we've got the title track, The Suburbs, and there's this crash cymbal, and the chord progression starts, and it's like you feel like you're in the suburbs already. I find that the singer, Win Butler, his voice just wins you over immediately. Like it wins you over. I didn't mean to, but yeah, his voice just comes in, and it's like a mature sound, and it's kind of like he's like your favorite singer that you just never knew until you hear him. Like
he's got a very unique voice for sure.
So the second song, Ready to Start, it ends with this. Well, The Suburbs ends with this lingering synth line that gets picked up and contextualized by the next song. So it's a really nice transition. It almost feels like that should have been the first song maybe, but I appreciate the artistic decision to put the second one. It's such a great song, and it
picks
with
it up,
energy.
right?
Yeah, the energy is still so high even at this second song. And it is until about the third song, Modern Man, where things start to smooth out a little bit. It feels a little bit more youthful. It's like cool and a little bit more chill, a little bit more poppy. That's at least my impression of the third song.
Yeah, and they're actually label mates with She and Him. So I don't know if you've heard their sound before, but I actually think, Don, that song Modern Man kind of has that bubbly feeling to it.
Yeah.
Zoe Deschanel is the lead for She and Him.
I can see what you mean. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. So the next song is Rococo. Now this song is totally, it would be fun to perform this song as a singer. Just the name, Rococo, Rococo, it's just fun to sing. Like the syllables you get to sing, the consonants are great. How many members are in this band? There's like 8 or something? There's many.
So there's 6 people.
6? And
then since The Suburbs came out, I think they've added a 7th member full-time. So yeah, it's a pretty big sounding band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, this song, Empty Room, almost reminds me a little bit of Metric. I think it does feature the female vocalist, Regine Chasson. She's French, I believe. Yeah. And her and Win Butler are an item, I believe. Yes, they're married. So that's cute. It makes you. It adds another layer of intimacy to their performances.
Yeah, because they obviously play off each other in. Much like a band like July Talk would have, the female-male influence. Arcade Fire has that as well, but I think it's a little less pronounced, right?
Yeah. Number 6 is City with No Children.
One of the singles.
See, this was a single, and I found this one is a little repetitive, honestly. Around 3-4 minute mark, it's kind of getting on you a little bit. You can tell when it subconsciously happens.
And I agree with that sentiment. Like, some of these songs, and we'll probably get to it later on, where I think it's a positive with We Used to Wait. But there are some songs in here where just not as tight. That shouldn't limit you from listening to it, though.
The 7th song is the first part of Half Light, which it definitely has sort of a melancholy feel to it, a little bit more kind of understated. The guitar part almost reminds me a little bit of 50s music. That's might be a stretch a little bit, but there's this guitar part with these really kind of sharp stabs, and it almost feels like you're in a diner or something. It kind of gives me that vibe. Half Light 2, its second part, in brackets, No Celebration. So I guess it's edgy, I guess. It kind of feels like traveling music. I find that that's the case with some of the later songs as well. But 3 minutes in, you're feeling the song, but around the 4-minute mark, that's when I started to feel the pacing drag a bit more. I wasn't as on top of where it was going. I was kind of when's it gonna end?
Yeah, it's got a little bit more of a slower, like you said, it's a slower pace. But I think it's one of those times where if you like that kind of music, maybe you can tolerate it a bit better.
Yeah.
And there have been comparisons made in this album to REM, Automatic for the People, which I think is where this song and later songs, like you said, Don, kind of have that feel to them. It's just not as, there's not much oomph to it. Mm-hmm. But again, it's a aesthetic thing. Like, it's your personal taste, right?
Okay, so number 9, Suburban War. So the clean guitar with a close harmony, some of those dissonant intervals. It actually reminds me of Let Down from OK Computer, which I know you guys did an album review for.
Yes, and I just want to quickly add, people have said that of Arcade Fire, that this is their OK Computer. So maybe that song triggered that for you specifically, but like, I can see that overall, how it's like, oh, this is like their commercial success, but they haven't done Reflector yet. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the month of May, this one feels like a bit of a more return to their rock band sound. Starts out with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like that kind of energy. It makes you feel like you're watching a live performance.
Yes.
And the fact that that's in the recording too, that you can tell that they were really having fun with it. Just like the rock band, and it's sort of the rawness of that.
Yeah. It's got a lot of like anthem, amphitheater kind of sound. Like, it's like, yeah, like you said, it gets you like, let's go.
The track 11 is Wasted Hours. I feel like I almost wanted to say spending a lot of time listening to this might have been wasted hours, but no, I don't feel that. This song though, it's I believe the ending uses like this like slow fade out, and this it's got like a dark chord progression, but it's upbeat and there's a lot of energy to this, and I do have a criticism of how it transitions into the song Deep Blue. So Deep Blue is the 12th track, and going from Wasted Hours to Deep Blue, they have this fade out, and then suddenly Deep Blue kicks back in, and it's like the same rhythm pretty much. Number 13, We Used to Wait. I believe this one, it comes in, and it's really emphasizing this like C minor sort of sound. Yeah, right there. And those two notes, those little stabs, like that just happens so much throughout the whole song. The very end, it uses this cool delay effect where it uses that, and it's like suddenly it's like layered in a different way. That ending.
It creates like an infinite loop, really.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very simple, and what goes on around it is not always the most simple, but I like that that's like a consistent musical motif through that song, We Used to Wait. It's a great song, too.
And it's another one of the singles, so it makes sense, again, commercially why they would have chosen it, right? Like, it's an interesting song, but it's also like accessible.
Yeah. Number 14 takes you, gives you the audio experience. It shows you this like soundscape of a car on a road. You can hear like thumping as it's driving over asphalt, and it's like really cinematic, honestly, how it kind of brings you into this sprawl, which I believe is a reference to like the horizon, or just like a lot of flat land, a lot of like open terrain that, you know, takes a long time to get across.
Yeah, I think this might be a good opportunity for me to interject with a little anecdote I had about one of the music videos. So Google actually partnered with Arcade Fire and created this really crazy interactive music video that was directed by Chris Milk, and in the video you can actually punch in your address into Google Maps, and then it outputs your neighborhood, which again is very thematic for the album. And there's also a short film called The Suburbs that you might want to check out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Is it any reference to Arcade Fire?
It's an Arcade Fire. It's about Arcade Fire's album, and Spike Jonze directed it.
Okay, cool.
So pretty cool, and again, just adds another layer to the whole album, which maybe might actually explain the length of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's long. It's 16 songs, and we're on the 15th one now. So Sprawl II. This is Mountains Beyond Mountains. This was another single you mentioned, and this is I think the high point for the female vocalists being featured. She gets a real chance to shine in this song. It's it's good energy. It's a good beat. My ex likes this one.
So you may be a little bit biased.
No. I like that she likes it. It's cool. It's a charming song. It's not the Suburbs 2 like you might expect from how they've been doing Sprawl 1 and 2 or Half Light 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And this one is a continuation, and you hear that melody that sometimes I can't believe it. Like that comes back in, and
you know you're there.
Yeah, and it brings you back to where you were when you first listened to it, which feels like you've gone very far away from that, honestly, through all these songs that are a little bit more dreary to listen to. That high energy, contrasting the high energy of the first few songs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, this is a 1 hour and 4 minute album, so by the end of it, you're ready for it to be over. At least I was. It was a nice. You get the nice like Suburbs taste back in your mouth. Yeah.
It's like if you were going on a long drive. This might be what you'd listen to. I also want to add one final thought about the Suburbs, because I think you made a really good point, Don, about the length of it. Mm-hmm. This is supposed to be a metaphor for the North American dream of getting to live and be in the suburbs. And while we generally try and do positive reviews on Sound Culture, I think this is a really good time to kind of mention how this album really encapsulates that experience. Like, living in the suburbs might seem like a great idea, but it's not always, a fun experience. Like, it can be a little bit dry, it can be a little bit boring, it can be a little bit...
When's this gonna end? Yeah, suburbia can claim some of your creativity.
And despite that, they managed to make a really interesting album. So.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I hope you liked the video. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed.
Share it. I mean, tell us what you think. Share with other people. This album is 8 years old now, so people might not know about it anymore. They might have forgotten about it, but we think it's still valid.
Yeah, totally. Give it a listen. It's got a lot of really heavy-hitting songs. Mm-hmm. If not, you listen to the whole thing. Definitely just pick out the famous ones because they're gems.
100%.
For sure.
100% agree with that. So that said, this has been Sound Culture. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Right on.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I remember that, like, when I was, I wasn't a kid. I was, like, fresh out of university. Well, not even fresh. That was, like, 5 years after university. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was still, like, heavily dialed into that kind of stuff. I was, like, music videos were becoming less cool.
Yeah.
And now they're cool again, but because of the internet, not because...
Not because of music.
Yeah.